Okay, welcome to Immersal Mapping Clinic. This is our third mapping clinic already. My name is Päivi Laakso-Kuivalainen. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Immersal, kind of organizing these clinics and then inviting our mapping experts like Avais today and other people as well in the coming clinics to explain some of the topics related to the mapping. I had some confusion with the timing, so it might be that we are not getting as many participants as we've had in the previous clinics, but at least people will then have the recording available, even if they will miss the live session. I will repeat again that this is Immersal Mapping Clinic number 3. Welcome. I hope this will be a useful session for all of you. We will be starting shortly. We will have covered quite interesting topics. Shortly, the basics of mapping, but mainly focusing on the new things that we have introduced related to mapping. And for that purpose, we have our expert Avais Hassan here. Welcome. I guess it is 1 minute over 11 o'clock Finnish time already, so we can start. Go ahead, Avais.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to our third mapping clinic. My name is Avais Hassan, and today we will discuss about a few things. Like previously, we covered mapping with smartphones and BLK2Go. So as you know that there are a lot of limitations to consider when you are mapping with cell phone, such as you cannot see how the mapping is going or are you capturing enough feature points. So until you have created the map, you cannot see how the map has been built. And with BLK2Go, you know, it's very fast and you can like map the complex spaces very easily. But then there comes a problem that there are a lot of moving cars. For example, if you're mapping outdoor, and also there is sometimes like, you know, if you're mapping maybe the things at your front, and you're also capturing things on your right side or on your left side because there are 3 cameras. So there is a lot of like unnecessary data that you don't need, and that can make your application a bit slower because due to the large map sizes. So that's why we thought that, okay, we will cover these 2 topics, like real-time mapping, that's a new feature, and map editor. In real-time mapping, you can see the mapping live, like how it is being mapped. You can see sparse point being generated. And also we have introduced this new feature called map editor. So in this feature, you can edit your map according to your need. You can just maybe crop out some things like trees or cars or people, or maybe you can just like filter out your maps. Like you just want one side of the street, so you can just completely cover the other side of it. So let's continue with our real-time mapping. So this is how it looks. So when you start mapping, it will display real-time mapping started, and you can see the sparse map, sparse points being generated at the real time. And over here, you can see the number of images being captured. Yeah, so here we just capture around 30 images, and we pressed stop, and the mapping stopped. And now you can see up here the successful localization. So with this feature, you can check your map, that how it's built and what is the localization rate and how it is performing. Like we performed some localization and it worked perfectly. All right, so this was about the real-time mapping. And about our next feature. Yeah, so the technique is same. So always create like parallax, like don't like move the device too fast. You should have overlap, just like walking very slowly. Maximum viewpoints, like we walked all the way around that small building and follow all the previous rules. Only the thing is that you can see your mapping in real time and you can localize it uh, there quickly, so you know that what is your map quality. So this is only for the paid user right now. It's available. It's not available publicly. Yeah. So now let's come to our second thing that's like map editing. Like as you know that BLK2 Go has like 3 cameras or any other device like you are mapping with 360 cameras or other devices. So when the map is generated, it is like way big map, a lot of data, and that can make your app a bit slower. So here you can see that on the left side there's a map, unfiltered map. Like there are a lot of things on the ground, maybe grass, some cars, some people sitting, or maybe some boxes or anything. And on the right side, after we edited the map, you can see like noise from the left side of it. It's being removed. The unnecessary data, we know that nobody's coming here to localize it, so we remove the data from here, some sparse points, and also from the right side. And also from the courtyard, we know that there are ground conditions. Like for example, you mapped it during like the summer, but in winter there is a lot of snow, so it can cause fail localization. So we remove that data from here. So it will make the map size much smaller, and our apps can localize even faster. Yeah. So there are like I do it in the 2 ways. Like for example, if there is a map and you just have to like the layouts, and you just have to crop out few things. So that's that is what I call a map cleaning. Like you can just clean out the map from sides, and everything else is fine. So for that, I use sparse map to edit. And for the colorful map, for example, if I have to filter some noise on the left image over here, you can see a lot of trees in here, or maybe some cars over here. So if I have to remove, sorry. Yeah, can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. So if you have to remove some trees or cars, so you need a colorful map so you can distinguish about different things. So so when we come to next stage, for editing this sparse map, you can just download, you can go to your dashboard, and the map you have generated, you can just click on this sparse.ply file, and you can download this file. And to edit this file, I have a small quick video for you, a detailed explanation about how you should edit the map. So you can use any third-party tool to clean your data. It's not just a MATLAB. I am familiar with this tool a little bit, so that's why I used this one. So you can just use any tool of your choice. So as you can see on the side, there is a lot of noise. Like these are the far away things that are captured randomly. So we will just delete these things. But the look of it, it looks just like random things. But when you have mapped a place, you know exactly what place is where. So you have to be careful with that. And in like a couple of seconds, it will make sense that how the map looks. I have edited it a couple of times, so that's fine. It looks this way. So now we have changed the angle, and now it makes sense. It is much easier to download this file, the sparse map. That's why I did this one. Like it's like few hundred KBs. So, and it is much easier to upload and faster to process. So that's why I did this one. And I will also tell you how to edit the other one, the bigger file with colors. Now, as you can see from the top, there's this ground, and it has a lot of noise and stuff that is not very usable. Like the grass will turn maybe yellow in like a couple of weeks. So it can create some problem by localizing, or maybe give some false localizations and stuff. Like that, and we will remove the ground. Yeah, now our map is almost clean. So to save this file, you can just export mesh, and always remember to keep the .ply format. You can name it whatever you want, and always choose .ply file, because that is what you are going to save. You can keep colors, or maybe also you can keep binary coding, but I just removed it in this one, so it's okay. But it's good to keep it. So you can see this is the map. So you can select the map, like whatever map you have edited. You can select that map, upload, edit, and .ply. You can name it whatever you want, but always remember to select the map that you have edited. Otherwise, you will not be able to upload it. Yeah, you can see here the map is processing, and it's done quickly. Now you can see in here that this is the map, the cleaned one that we have cleaned. You can see it's very neat and very easy to understand in our dashboard. We have removed all the noise, and now have a look at the original one. Yeah, you can see a lot of noise around. So these points were just consuming memory, and it could maybe slow down the localization. So yeah, this is side to side. You can have a look. So now it's much easier to clean the data. And sorry, I guess this is the same video. Yes. So that was how I added the sparse map file. That's very easy, and just quickly where the things are, and just remove or crop few things. Now let's come to the dense map. Like if you are going to filter out some noise, like trees, cars, or maybe some humans, or maybe some portable objects around. So for that, you have to download this dense.ply file, and then you can just, for example, we have two maps over here of the same place from the same angle. On the right-hand side, it was in December. On the left-hand side, it was a map from I guess in April. Yeah, April or May, mid-May maybe. Yeah. So as you can see on the left side, there are trees are green, and on the right-hand side, the trees are white, all covered in snow. So when you capture, try to localize something in this environment, it can cause failed localization and maybe slow localization also, because trees are not really feature points. As if you have seen my previous mapping clinic, I told you about the things that you have to avoid. But when we are mapping quickly and faster, like BLK2GO or other 360 cameras or other devices, you always capture the noise. So to remove the trees, cars, and random object, you have to download that file. And yeah, so after you have removed the trees, cars, and object, the map on the left will look right. This map on the right side, cleaned out everything. The building structures are still there. Like if someone is looking at the building, or the objects that are all there, like all of the season, you can localize to that one very easily. And here's a short video about how it should be done. So as you know that how to download that file, and you can just click here, and you can see here a lot of trees around. So you can just select a perfect angle, and you can just toggle camera, so you will have a perfect view to just crop it out. Or you can avoid, if you want to keep the ground or maybe some street lights or things like that, they affect the localization rate. Like if the street light will be always there, or if there are some stop signs or things like that, they will always be there. So you should be careful. Like for example, here I have accidentally selected some buildings. So buildings are always there, and we have to localize against them, and also some street lamps. So I will just remove those things from the map, from the selected areas, because here I'm trying to filter out only the trees and cars. And here I have selected some buildings. So be careful when you are filtering out this kind of things, because you want to keep the feature points and only remove the noise or dynamic objects that are changing with with the weather or moving around. So as you can see, I will just quickly remove it, and now the trees are gone almost. So I have like made it quicker and shorter. So just to show you that how you can do it. You can use any tools that you are like used to with. So you can edit any tool of your choice. Here is another line of trees. So just make a perfect angle. Make sure you don't crop the ground, or if you are you want to remove the ground, you can remove it, because also on the ground there is always like snow or according to different weather conditions. So this one is captured perfectly, just perfectly, yeah. Yeah, I just captured the street light, the middle, and our road sign. So I will just remove this one from here. And you can see the all trees are gone, and we will have a much nicer looking map to localize against. Now you can see there are a lot of cars down there. So I will just toggle a view to make it look much easier. So now you can see there are a lot of cars. It is a detailed work, but you can do it. Like here, if they're dynamic objects, it will not localize against the ground. So I will remove the ground here also. So here are a lot of trees, and also the ground is not visible from that angle. So I will just remove this one also. Yeah. So after I just quickly skip a few parts, and now you have you can see the street lights and some road signs around, and I have removed also the roads, because they are also changing in different weather conditions, like snow or in summer. So again, same thing when exporting the file, you can just rename it whatever you want. And always remember to choose the PLY format. I will just remove color, but I don't need them, I guess. Yeah. And you can press save. So this is the map after editing. Yes. So yeah. So sorry for that. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the difference. Like after editing, the map looks much nicer and cleaner. Yeah. So for uploading that edited map, you can use the same technique. Here I have like shown in the figure very slowly, so you can understand it easily. That you have to select the map that you have edited, like click it, and then you can press upload edited map, and then you can choose the file that you have to upload. And after processing sparse map is available on the workend. This is the original one, and here you can see edited PLY and the name. But here you don't see the dense map or texture. You will only get sparse map. So that was all from my side. And if you have any question, you can write them down, and maybe
Yes, thank you, Alais. Excellent. I'm really excited about the real-time mapping and the map editor. They will both be very useful tools for the developers who are creating anything really with the Immersal SDK. That's really, really helpful. In addition to the real-time mapping and the map editor, we are also want to present to you guys another helpful tool or way of working, and our colleague Maolin is here to present it. I will give him the presenter rights.
I will stop sharing my screen.
Yep. Hello, Maolin. Nice to see you, and thank you for joining us at the third mapping clinic. I know you will be talking about the Polycam.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay.
And we can see your screen.
My screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, great. So let's get started. So yeah, today I would like to present you our new pipeline for supporting Polycam, which means that from now you can map your space to construct the Immersal spatial map with Polycam data. This is a new pipeline that we support, and the user experience is pretty good, and this can make the mapping a lot easier, especially for small to medium spaces. So let's get started. So maybe some of you already heard of this tool, Polycam. Polycam, in short, is a very popular application, which is mainly like a 3D reconstruction map, or let's say 3D scanner app, which allows you to map your room or your house to get a very high quality 3D model out of it. And the point of this pipeline is that we can support to use the raw data, which is exported from Polycam, for map construction for spatial map of Immersal. So the workflow is like this. So first of all, you have a Polycam application, and you can use your Polycam application to map your space. And then you export the raw data out of it. Then you can upload the data to Immersal server, and then we do the map construction there. And Then you can, when the map is done, you can just download the map and do the test on Immersal Mapper, or you can download the map to start your development in Unity. And at the same time, Polycam also generates a high quality, very nice mesh, which you can also use for adding 3D content in Unity. So let's say the pros and cons. The pros part is that Polycam application has very good user experience on mapping. You have a very good visual feedback when you do the mapping. And also Polycam can make sure of the camera pulse is reliable. They have some kind of optimization on the camera pulse, which means that the data that we get is reliable for map construction for Immersal. And the third pro item is that the Polycam can generate a high quality mesh, which can be used for 3D content development in Unity. Well, regarding the cons part, it's mainly about the size limitation. So we just mentioned the second point that Polycam supports to have a very reliable camera pulse data. But there's a limitation that you cannot exceed 1,400 images number. So you have to make sure that you generate the image number that you generated is less than 1,400. We'll mention that in more details, and we'll mention how to the workaround for that. And before we get into the detail, I'd like to show you a very short video about the whole process so that you can get an idea of what it is about. I'll explain you about the process when I play this video. So the first step, you open up Polycam. This is the user interface of Polycam. And when you initialize this, when it's initialized, then you can visualize the mesh instantly of your room. And you have this kind of visual feedback, which is very good. So the mapping and user experiences is quite good. And it's just make it faster. So now when it's done, within the Polycam user interface, we can see a rough mesh, and then you can start to proceed. And when it's completed, you get a very nice mesh from Polycam, and mesh and texture. And this can be used later in Unity. And now you export the raw data. We need to export the raw data. Raw data means the images, the camera pulse, and the images and the camera pulse. Those two are important for us. Then you can share this data. You can transmit this data to your computer, and then with our script, we can convert and upload data to Immersal backend. Well, this screen is just a visualization of the data, and then you can find a new job on Immersal, and when it's done, you can see the spatial map of Immersal of my room. You can see this is a spatial map of my room, and then you can just download this map and test localization with Immersal Mapper app, or download the map into Unity for development. For example, now I opened Immersal Mapper app to test the localization, and it shows the point cloud can be attached to the physical environment nicely. And then I imported the Polycam generated mesh into Unity, and the Polycam mesh, the coordinate system of Polycam mesh and the point cloud from Immersal can be aligned together automatically. And then I start adding AR content in Unity. For example, if I place this kind of rocket on the four corner of my table, I put them to the corner of the table. Just want to make sure the accuracy. And then I build the app and try to test it in my space. So you can see that when they get localized, I can see their content showed in the right place. Okay, hope this video gave you a rough idea of what this is about. Now let's get back to the material for the detail. So the process is like this, but there are some things that we need to. There are some let's say some good practice we need to be aware of in this process. So to get started, you need to have an Immersal developer account. Also, you need to have a Polycam application. Well, this information here is a bit old. Previously, you need a Polycam Pro license, but it seems that they have been changed in the last 2 weeks or last month, that now you don't need that. Now, even with the free license, you can export raw data. So the point for us is that we need to get 2 things. One is the images. Second is the camera pulse of every image that you take. So when you do the mapping, there are 2 modes that you can choose. One is video mode, or which is so-called automatic mode. And the second is image mode, which is also called manual mode. The video mode basically means that you can shoot a video, and it can, when you shoot a video, Polycam application is going to take images automatically every half second. And if you go with image mode, that means you can manually take photos by yourself, and the frequency can be fully controlled by yourself. And there are some differences when you choose the 2 modes. Normally, for a small room or a small space or medium spaces, we can just use the video mode, which is easier to get started. But for a larger space, considering the constraint of 1,400 images, for a larger space, it's recommended to map the space with the image mode, because in that way you can control the frequency. Like, for example, I can say that I can take 1 image every 5 steps, or 1 image every 10 steps, depending on the space, depending on the environment. So we'll mention more detail about the constraint later. And there are some other points that you need to be aware of. For example, you need to make sure that you don't move too fast. Well, Polycam have a nice feedback for that. If you move too fast, they have this kind of warning asking you to slow down. And because when you move fast, you probably get blurred on the images that you're taking. Also, you need to make sure that you point the camera towards the space, and do not point your camera towards the ground, because of the visual feedback provided by Polycam. It's very easy for a user to face the camera towards the ground, because this is the user interface is kind of the user interaction kind of like a guide user to put the camera towards the spaces, which is good for Polycam, but not good for Immersal. For Polycam, the point is to build the mesh. But for Immersal, we need to build 3D map. And the one very important guideline for the mapping is that when doing the mapping, we need to make sure the camera, we need to make sure that we stand on the position which we expect the ultimate user to stand, and we should point the camera towards the direction where we expect the camera to get localized. And usually users do not get localized facing their camera on the ground. So you need to avoid that. Another thing is that Polycam utilize LiDAR on iPhone or iPad, and so it's important that we also make sure that Polycam it's also important that we make sure your camera can touch some spaces and can touch some surface such as the ground, such as the wall, such as the ceiling. We make sure LiDAR can touch the spaces. In another word, we need to avoid to put your camera towards the air. One thing important is that for Polycam, since they use LiDAR, and LiDAR has a limitation of the detection range, which is about 5 meters, which means that if the object is out of that range, probably you don't get the mesh. But it's not a problem for Immersal, because we just need the images, we just need the photo. So it's okay that you put your camera towards some far away object so that we can get the photo of the object, although you don't get the mesh from Polycam. That's okay. So here is some example of good example or bad example. Simply speaking, it's good that you face your point your camera towards the surrounding, or a little bit tilted up or a little bit tilted down to cover the ground or the ceiling. But it's not good to put your camera towards the ceiling directly or towards the ground directly. So this is, for example, now in the bottom right corner, there's a good example which cover the surrounding, the door, not only the ground, but also the door, which is an object far away from you. And the second and the last image is a bad example, in which you put your camera only towards the ground, which is okay for Polycam, but bad for Immersal. So this is another example for outdoor situation. For outdoor, basically you need to make sure that you never put your camera towards the air, because in that case, the LiDAR couldn't touch the surface. You need to make sure that LiDAR always touch something. Well, if you want to shoot a building, it's good that you put your camera towards in front and tilt it down a little bit to cover the ground, and then you can put your camera up to take more picture about the building itself. If you want to move to the next step, you need to keep the camera touching the ground to move to the next step. Then you can tilt it up to cover the surrounding. Yeah, another important note from this pipeline is about this 1,400 images constraint. Basically, one of the most important reasons, or one of the most pros of this pipeline is that Polycam can have this kind of camera pulse optimization, which is also called the loop closure feature. But this feature can be enabled only if your camera count, only if your image number is less than 1,400. Well, if your image number is less than 700, this feature is enabled automatically. But if your camera, if your image number is between 700 and 1,400, this option is disabled, but you can manually enable it, which means that this is just kind of warning from Polycam that they don't want too much images to be uploaded to the server, which is a pressure for the server. But in this case, you can still manually enable it. But if the image number is more than 1,400, you cannot enable this feature. And this have a big difference between the case with it and without it. Let me show you. Here, this is an experiment that we have done, and this area, this street block is a large street block. The longer size is about 300 meters. The shorter size is about 200 meters. The total square meter is about the total area is about 60,000 square meter. It's a large space. But even for with this large space, we can use Polycam to map. But we need to make sure that we can enable this loop closure feature. You can see in the image in the middle, this is the case when we enabled this loop closure feature. You can see the whole circle can be closed correctly. But from the last image, you can see this is the case when this feature is not enabled. In that case, there's a drift and there were some problems on the position which are marked in red there. And actually, the image, the map in the middle is when I map with, since this space is very large, the map in the middle is when I mapped with the photo mode or image mode with Polycam, in which way I can control the frequency so that I can enable this loop closure feature. But the last image is the situation when I just used the video mode, and then I got about 3,000 and 4,000 images. Then since I couldn't enable this loop closure feature, so there was some problem in the part that I marked in red. This just gives you an idea of how it looks when we enable and disable this feature. So in summary, that we need to make sure that we have less than 1,400 image count in total. But there's a one second, please. But there's but in practice, if you shoot in the video mode in Polycam user interface, you cannot see how much images you have taken because it's automatic. And usually from our test, you cannot if you shoot it in video mode, it's the best it's best not to shoot the video longer than 15 minutes. If you shoot a video less than 15 minutes, usually it's below 1,400. But if you should do it in the manual mode, it's up to you, and you can see the count of how much image has been used on the user interface. That's easier to control. So then, the last step is when you complete the Polycam, then you can export the data from Polycam, and then you can use our script and to upload the data to Immersal backend, and later we will make we'll provide a button on Immersal servers, Immersal developer portal user interface, which allows you to easier uploading Polycam raw data. But now with a script, you can simply convert and upload Polycam raw data to Immersal backend. And when it's done, you can just get the map and start testing or start development in Unity. So that's it for this new pipeline. I hope some of you, if you're interested, just to download Polycam and have a try. And if you have any problem, for example, probably now you don't have the script, which is for uploading the data, you may contact us and we will help you to do the experiment.
Thank you, Marlin. That was excellent. Very interesting indeed. I don't see any questions in the questions part now, but I have one question for each of you. I will start with Marlin. The Polycam workflow, where do you see it as the most useful? In what kind of projects?
Yeah, Polycam pipeline is very good for small or medium size spaces. Or some customer maybe we used to heard some complaint about taking pictures is too laborious, especially for medium size or even larger size spaces, which is true. And actually for a small size or medium size spaces, Polycam pipeline can make the mapping experience much smoother and easier, at least easier to get started because of the visual feedback. And also Polycam can make sure the camera pulse is accurate because they have the optimization for that, which can improve the success rate of map construction if you don't have a lot of experience about Immersal Mapper app. But Immersal Mapper app is more, let's say, more flexible, which can cover not only small space but also large space. It's more like a tool, but you need to have more experience. But Polycam is like a tool which can make you easy to get started with.
Thank you, Malin. So it's a tool that you can get you easily started on small and medium-sized projects, and yeah,
Yes.
maybe in some large cases it might also make a convenient way to map. Cool, thank you. Then Avais, thank you for presenting the real-time mapper and the map editor. Both were really interesting. My question is related to the map editor. The examples that you showed were outdoor spaces, mainly. So where would you say that the map editor was very useful when mapping indoor spaces?
Well, it depends. Like, for example, if you want to, remove a lot of moving objects. For example, if you are, let's say, mapping on an art gallery, so there are a lot of people moving around and a lot of stuff. So you can manually just, delete the unnecessary stuff. And also, it will make the maps much lighter and easier and quick to localize. But it is most useful in outdoor spaces. For example, for indoor, it's usually most of the details are like static, like they are there to be there. Like, but for outdoor spaces, like for example, there are two city blocks, one on the right and one on the left. You are trying to map the one on your left side, but because there are like like for example 360 cameras are built here to go, you always capture the other side of so you are trying to create an experience on your left side, so you don't need data for the right side. So you can just slash out that data and the map size will be much smaller and faster to localize.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Avais. I know that the size of the map, that you can get it to be smaller, can also be quite important in some projects, that you can make it as small as possible, only including those bits where you want to localize. Cool. Thank you very much, Malin. Thank you very much, Avais. This was our third mapping clinic. We will have the next one the first Friday of August. I think it's the 4th. Looking forward to seeing you all there and discussing more mapping topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.